Okay, still using law of sines, but instead of just finding one piece of the triangle here, you're asked to find all of the missing parts. So of course, they're giving you 3 parts to get started, which means you'll have 3 other pieces that you need to find. You have 1 more angle that you've got to find and 2 more sides that you have to find. So again, if you need to sketch it off, if that makes you feel more comfortable about keeping track of everything. And again, obviously this is not to scale. Angle A, we know that value. Angle C, and we know side C. Okay. Now, there's different places you can start, different things that you can find first. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and find the missing angle, which happens to be angle B. So just like we had subtracted earlier, okay, so doing that subtraction there, we would have 47.8. Okay. All right, next, you've got side B and side A that you've got to find. It doesn't matter which one. Let's just say that we're going to find side A. So if I'm going to find side A, so setting up that ratio, so that means I would need to use angle A in my numerator. Okay, now your other ratio is going to have to consist of using angle C and side C. You can't use angle B because you don't know side B yet. Okay, cross multiply and divide. So I'll just go ahead and do that in one step. So if you cross multiply and then divide, and then put that in your calculator. Okay, so your answer there, so if we go to the nearest tenth, that would be 620.8. Okay, so now we're ready to find side B. Now, a common mistake that I see made is once you're down to finding that last side, you'll say, let's use Pythagorean theorem. But remember, that and using opposite adjacent hypotenuse can only be applied to a right triangle. So you've got to stick to law of sine still. Now, we're finding side B. So that means I will have to use angle B in my numerator, so I'll have sine of 47.8. Now, you do have angle A and side A now that you could use here as your other ratio, or you can use angle C and side C, again, just like I used it here. And that's what I'm going to do, is just use angle C and side C again. Okay, so again, in one step, I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply and divide. Okay, so entering that value into the calculator. That will give me 490.7. So there's the 3 missing parts: angle B, side A, and side B. Okay, next we have an application problem that we're going to look at, which you have already worked problems similar to this, but we were able to use, again, the Pythagorean theorem or opposite adjacent and hypotenuse to help us out. Okay, we have a man standing near a tower. So my vertical side here represents my tower. And he observes that the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 64. So that means, as of right now, he is standing here. So he's looking from here to the top of the tower. Again, angle of elevation is 64 degrees. He walks 100 feet further away. So that means he's going from here, to this corner. So that's why this distance here is labeled as 100. So he's walking 100 feet further away. And now observes that the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is now 46. So it's wanting you to find the height of the tower. So I've already labeled that side as H. But you actually don't have enough information right now to be able to find that directly. We're actually going to have to find X first. Now, when we had this type of figure before, you were never able to work with this triangle in here because it wasn't a right triangle. But now that we know law of sines, that's something that we can do. Now, in order to find X, of course, I need to know this angle here. Because if I'm going to find this side, that's going to be what I use in my denominator. I have to have the angle that's opposite to use in the numerator. And I can come up with this angle because these two angles here, of course, form 180 degrees. So if this one is 64, so if we do 180 minus 64, that's going to give me 116 degrees there. Okay, so let me go ahead and start setting this up little by little. So if I'm going to find X, I'm going to use sine of 116 in the numerator. Now the ratio that I set it equal to, I have to know angle and side. Well, if I'm using, let me highlight it here, if I'm using this triangle here, that's the one that I'm looking at, I know this side, but I don't know its angle, the angle that's opposite the 100. But see, now I know these two, I can come up with that one at the top. So 180 minus the 46 minus the 116. So this angle here is 18 degrees. So now my other ratio that I'm going to use in my proportion, I would have sine of 18 degrees divided by 100. Okay, cross multiply and divide. So I'm going to go from here to here. So if I get X by itself, okay, and then get that approximation. Okay, so we'll go to one decimal place. That'll be 290.9. Okay, so I know that this side now is 290.9. Okay, so now I'm trying to find H. Let's see what's going to, if you look at your overall, the big triangle all together, which if you're looking at your big triangle all together, you're actually back to a right triangle. And on that right triangle, see, I know this angle down here, and of course I know this side, and I'm trying to find this side. So you can go back to what we know about right triangles to help us out. So from the 46, this would be opposite. This would be hypotenuse, so that means that I could use sine. So sine of 46 degrees would be equal to H divided by the 290.9. Okay, so remember, cross multiply, that's understood to be over 1. So H would be equal to 290.1 times sine of 46 degrees. So that right there is what you'll enter in your calculator, and that will give you the height of the tower. So to 1 decimal place, that would be 209.3, and that would be in feet. So this was the answer that we were looking for.